Hello friends, we are studying the physiographic divisions of India. In that the first part was the northern mountains, which are the Himalayas. We studied Himalayas in three phases. First was the main Himalayas, then the trans Himalayas, and then the Purvanchal. For the main Himalayas, we did the north to south division, the Great Himalayas, the Middle Himalayas, and the Shivaliks, and the West-East divisions. We saw the difference between the Western Himalayas and the Eastern Himalayas, and then we also divided regionally, that is between the rivers. Now we are coming to the second physiographic division of India, which are the northern plains. The first two things which come to our mind immediately with the northern plains of India. First one, these are the youngest physiographic division of India. So first thing what you should note down is the youngest physiographic feature of India. Now, why this is the youngest physiographic division of India, feature of India? It is because it was found by the alluvial deposits of Himalayan rivers. So now, if a question will be asked to sequence to give the sequence of the divisions of India in terms of their geological history, then the first one would be the Peninsular Plateau, then it will be the Himalayas, and then the northern plains of India. So, youngest physical feature of India. Now, there are basically three divisions for northern plains of India. The first one is the Indus Satluj Plain. Indus Satluj Plain. Second one is the Ganga Yamuna Plain. And last one is the Brahmaputra Plain. Last we did the mnemonics for the Brahmaputra River and its tributaries. So keep in mind that is going to be very useful for the examination as well. Now, as the name suggests, the Indus Satluj Plain, it will mean that this particular part of the plain, it is drained by the river Indus and Satluj and its tributaries. Similarly, the Ganga Yamuna plain is drained by the rivers Ganga and Yamuna and its tributaries, and same with the Brahmaputra plain. Now first like we did for the Himalayas, we are going to do the north-south division of northern plains. Physiographic division of northern plains. The first one is the Bhabar belt. Bhabar belt. The northernmost is the Bhabar belt. Now it is adjacent to the foothills of the Himalayas, and they are known for their remarkable continuity right from the river Indus to the river Teesta. And it consists of the boulders, the pebbles, the big stones which have been carried down by the river streams from the Himalayas. Now, as the porosity of this particular belt, the Bhabar belt, is very high, most of the string sinks down and flow underground. So, river disappear in this particular area. And the Bhabar is generally narrow about 7 to 15 kilometers, and they are narrower in the east and broader in the west. And this obviously because of the porosity, high porosity and big stones and pebbles, this area is not very much suitable for the agriculture operations, and only the large big trees with large roots can thrive in this particular region. So the first point what you should note down for the Bhabar belt is adjacent to Himalayas foothills. Made up of big rocks and pebbles, which have been brought down from the Himalayan region to the ground. Now, this is highly porous. Highly porous. So what it will do is it will lead to the disappearing of river. Disappearing of river. Narrower in eastern Himalayas, around eastern side, and wider in western side. Not suitable for agriculture. And if we see the wideness, it is around 7 to 15 kilometers is very. Now this was the northernmost part. Now southern part of this Bhabha belt, we know that it is known as the Tarai belt. So it lies next to the Bhabha region and it's much wider than that. It is around 15 to 30 kilometers wide. And the rivers which got disappeared in the Bhabha belt, they again reappears in this particular region. And it is marked mostly in the eastern region because of the high rainfall what we get in the eastern side of India. So now when the river is again re-emerging in this particular region, this area is really marshy and ill-drained. Okay, so the region is excessively moist and thickly forested and is populated with a variety of wildlife because of the moisture what is there. Now, if we see the present situation, the most of the Terai land has been converted into the agricultural land. So it is the first point we should write is it is next to Bhabar region. Second point, river reappears. So the rivers which got disappeared in the Bhabar belt, now they again reappears in this particular Tarai belt. Swampy and marshy area. If we talk about the width of this area, it is 15 to 30 kilometers. Most of the land is made into agricultural land now. Agriculture land. And finally what we can write is more marked in the eastern side. Marked in the eastern side. Okay. Now the third one after the Tarai belt, we see the Bhangar belt. Bhangar belt, these are the old alluvial plains of rivers. And the clay, the soil is normally consisted of conchars. So these are the old flood plains of the rivers. So old flood plains of the rivers. Now the fourth or the southernmost division of the northern plains, it is the Khadar plain. Khadar plain or Khadar belt. These are the new alluvial plains. New alluvial plains. And they have less conchars. Very suitable for agriculture. Very suitable for agriculture. Right. So these are the north to south physiographic division of the northern plains, the Bhabar belt, the Tarai belt, the Bhangar plain, and then the Khadar plain. So now how we will remember this? From Bhabar we get barber or the hair cutter who cuts our hair. The Tarai becomes Tairana or swimming. Tairana is a Hindi word for swimming. Bhangar becomes bagger. Bhangar becomes bagger. Khadar becomes khadi, the khadi clothes. Okay. Now these are the Himalayas. You are at the foothills of the Himalayas, and there is one Bhabar. there is one barber who is sitting there to cut your hairs. So you got the haircut. Why? To go for the swimming pool. Okay, because that swimming pool has this condition. If you have your haircut like in this way, then only they will allow you to swim. So once you were swimming, you saw one beggar also was swimming in that particular swimming pool, right? So you imagine like how this beggar got so much money that he's getting an access to these swimming pool, and then after the swimming, that beggar had khadi clothes. Again, these khadi clothes are very expensive. Okay, so this is the south to north division, north to south division. The barber or bhabar, tarai or tairana, swimming, then beggar, bhangar or bhikhari. Bhangar is bhikhari, bhikhari is beggar, and then khadar or khadi. Right. So this is how we have to remember the north to south division. The important points we have to remember, we have already noted it down. Now, as we were discussing initially, there are three divisions of the plains. The first one in the Indus Satluj plain, then the Ganga plain, and then the Brahmaputra plain. In this map, we can notice it down. So this Rajasthan plain and the Punjab plain. Then the Ganga plain, which we are dividing into upper Ganga plain, middle Ganga plain, the lower Ganga plain, and then the Brahmaputra plain this way. So, first division is the Rajasthan plain. The westernmost part we know it is desert. Westernmost part is desert, which we also call as the Marusthali. Or the name is the Thar Desert. The Thar Desert. Now this desert, it has the sand dunes. We all know that. Sand dunes, the moving sand dunes. And the local name for moving sand dunes, moving sand dunes, it is in local language, it is known as Dhariyas. Dhariyas. Right. So this whole Rajasthan plain, what we're talking about, is the west part of Aravallis. So the westernmost is the Thar Desert, and then to the east of Thar Desert, it is the Rajasthan Bangar. Bangar, if you remember, last time we have studied in the last slide, it is the old alluvial soil or the old alluvial floodplain of rivers. So, one particular river, what we can remember, it is the Luni river, which flows through the Rajasthan Bangar, and it flows to Run of Kutch. Run of Kutch. So the Marusthali, first the Thar Desert, and then this Marusthali is fringed by semi-desert, which is known as a Rajasthan Bengal, which also has some sand-free land with steppy type of vegetation. And this particular Rajasthan Bengal, it is drained by a number of small rivers which have been originated from the Aravalli hills, and it also contains some sand hills. The fertile tracts in Rajasthan Banga, they are known as the Rohi. Right? Rohi. Fertile tracts in Rajasthan Banga. So this is clear, the Rajasthan plain. Now we come to the second plain, which is the Punjab Haryana plain. Punjab Haryana plain. Now some points to remember for Punjab Haryana plain. The first one, it extends from Punjab in the west to the Yamuna river, that is in Haryana in the east. So it extends from Punjab in the west to the river Yamuna, which is in Haryana. Now, second, this land we already know it is made up of five rivers, also known as in the history as Punjab. Punjab means actually land of five rivers, which is particularly made up of Doab. Okay, Doab is nothing but actually the land between two rivers. The second point, what we can note down is land of five rivers. Land of five rivers made up of Doabs. Made up of Doabs. Doabs is nothing. Area between two rivers. Area between two rivers. Now here some local name if you can remember. Bets are the Khadar plains. And Dhaiya. These are the heavily gullied bluffs. So beds are the Khadar plains and here they are the heavily gullied bluffs, so heavily eroded plains. So this was about the Punjab Haryana plain. We come to the third plain which is the Ganga Yamuna plain. Ganga Yamuna plain. So there are three divisions to that. We saw the upper Ganga plain, the middle Ganga plain and the lower Ganga plain. One more thing we can note down here is the Rajasthan plain, the soil is fertile but less agriculture because of less water, or the soil is moisture deficient. While here if we see in the Punjab Haryana plain, soil is very fertile, is very fertile because this is the Khadar plain, very fertile, but there are certain limitations which has been cropped into the agriculture practices of this particular plain, which is the excessive irrigation. Okay, so this points also we need to note down when we are studying these plains. Now the Ganga Yamuna plain, the upper Ganga plain, the middle Ganga plain and the lower Ganga plain. The upper Ganga plain we also call as the Rohilkhand plain. Rohilkhand plain. And in this plain actually all our major cities like Agra, Delhi, Banaras, Lucknow, they are situated. Then middle Ganga plain we also know called as the Magad Ganga plain, Magad plain, or the areas around Bihar where Kosi flows, and Kosi we all know is known as the sorrow of Bihar. And why Kosi brings such devastating floods is because Kosi comes from the Himalayas, okay, comes from the Himalayas of Tibet and Nepal, and it then directly comes to the plain in Bihar. So it is having high volume of water and depositions, and it is known for the shifting of its course, shifting of the course because the big amount of deposition what it brings from the Himalayas. So Kosi because of changing of course. Changing of course. And then finally, lower when Ganga enters West Bengal, Ganga enters West Bengal, and then it divided into various distributaries. So here it forms one of the biggest delta or the biggest delta, that is the Sundarban deltas. Sundarban deltas, right? So this is about the Ganga Yamuna plain, and then finally we have the Brahmaputra plain. The Brahmaputra plain we know. Brahmaputra is again also known, notoriously known for its flood plains in the Assam. So Brahmaputra plain is also known as the Assam plain. This is because of the narrow tract or the narrow river course and the high volume of the Brahmaputra. Okay, so that is we divide. That is how we divide. The Rajasthan plains, the Punjab Haryana plains, the Ganga Yamuna plain divided into upper, lower, upper, middle, and lower, and then the Brahmaputra Assam plains. So these all things we need to remember about the northern plain. Another thing what we can note down for the Rajasthan perhaps is the formation of the salt lakes like Samba, which is the largest salt lake. Okay, so here we finish the plains, northern plains of India. Now we'll do the coastal plains of India. So the coastal plains of India, it refers to an area which is a low flat area which are located adjacent to a water body, and in India it is particularly the sea. So the coastal plains we will see and we can see on the map, it's generally separated from the interior land and have less vegetation in comparison with the mainland. So in India we have two coastal plains, the western coastal plains and the eastern coastal plains. We will start with the western coastal plain. Western coastal plain, it starts from the state of Kerala to right up to the Gujarat. So the western coastal plain, it lies between the Kerala, the state of Kerala and the state of Gujarat, and it stretches from the Arabian Sea to the Western Ghats. So here we have Western Ghats. The average width of these plains, it is about 50 kilometers actually, which is less if we compare it to the eastern coast. This we can see also, like here the extent is less and here extent is more. It is around 50 kilometers. We divide the whole western coast into three parts: the Malabar coast, the Konkan coast, and the Gujarat coast. So this is Malabar coast, this is Konkan coast, and this is the Gujarat coast. So let us start with the western coast. So two types of coast: western coast and eastern coast. First, if we start with the western coast, the first point which we should note down is ascent is from Kerala to state of Gujarat. Width is approximately 50 kilometers between, obviously we know, Arabian Sea and Western Ghats. We divide it into three parts: the Malabar coast, the Konkan coast, and the Gujarat coast. The major difference between the Malabar coast and the Konkan coast, what we can say is, Malabar coast is south of Goa, while Konkan coast, it is north of Goa. Right. So northern part we have the Gulf of Kutch, Gulf of Kambat, and then the eastern part, the southern part, it is the Malabar coast or the Kerala. So first, if we start with the Gujarat coast. So the first, we start from the Gujarat coast. It is made up of three parts. First is Run of Kutch Peninsula, Run of Kutch Peninsula. The second one is the Kathiawar Plateau, and then we have Gujarat alluvial plains. Run of Kutch Peninsula we have already seen. The rivers like Luni and Banas, they discharge their water into Run of Kutch forming inland drainage, particularly during the rainy season. And this peninsula, it displays sort of arid and semi-arid landscapes. Okay, so Kutch of Run of Kutch Peninsula. Then coming to the Kathiawar Plateau, it lies south of the Kutch, with the central part consisting of highlands, which we call as the Madhav Hills. Mount Girnar, it's a very famous mountain. Approximately 1200 meters is the highest point. One very famous Gir range is also located in the southern part of the Kathiawar Plateau. And this Gir range, we know it is having dense forest and famous for the Gir lion. So Kathiawar Plateau is south of Kutch. Mandav Hills, Mount Girnar is the highest peak. Then finally we have Gujarat alluvial plains, and they form the eastern section of the Gujarat plains, and formed by the rivers like Narmada, Tapi, and Mahi, and Sabarmati, which flows through this region and make it fertile. Okay, so this is the Gujarat alluvial plain. Now, second, if we come to the Konkan coast, first thing what we have to remember is north of Goa. And this is famous for the natural harbors what it has. So natural harbors of Mumbai and Marmango. Right. Then coming to the finally the Malabar coast, the Kerala coast. Here we see the formation of lagoons. We'll see the difference between lagoon, estuaries. Right, the Gujarat coast we see formation of estuaries. So the formation of lagoons, Wambund Lake, backwater lakes are also famous for this region. Backwater lakes. This Malabar coast, one we can have the Karnataka coast, and then second we can have Kerala coast. Karnataka coast, we see the formation of Jog Falls, which are in the Sabarmati River. The Sharavati rivers. Right. So this what we need to know and remember about the western coast of India. Then we comes to the eastern coast. You can see the ascent of eastern coast in the map. It directly from Tamil Nadu, state of Tamil Nadu, it goes to West Bengal. So ascent from Tamil Nadu to West Bengal. Now obviously it is between the Bay of Bengal to Eastern Ghats. And if we see the width of these plains, it is 130 kilometers, so it is much wider. So Western Ghats, it is 50 meters, which is much narrower, and the Eastern Ghats, it is 130 kilometers. Now here also we have certain divisions. The first division, what we can say, is the North Kirka, which is between the rivers of Mahanadi and Krishna. We can see in the map here, this northern Kirka region, it is between the river Mahanadi and Krishna. The second division is the Utkal plains or the Orissa plains. Utkal Plains or the Odisha coast. It includes two major things, the Mahanadi river delta and the Chilka lake, which is the biggest lake in the country. There are certain other rivers also which flow this particular area, which is the Subarneka, Brahmani, and Shushikulya. Here we saw the olive turtle, the place, the coast or the sea shore where the or the sea beach where the olive turtle gave its do its fertility, and that we remembered in the mnemonics as well. So Utkal Plains, first thing famous for Mahanadi Delta, and Chilka Lake. Then many other rivers also flow this through this particular area. One is the Subarneka, Brahmani, etc. Now third one is the Andhra Plain. Now it is south of Utkal Plain, south of Utkal Plains, and it ascends up to the Pulicat Lake. Ascends up to Pulicat Lake. Now, this Pulicat Lake is important because one very important place, Sriharikota, which is the launching site of ISRO, is located near to it. So, Pulicat Lake, you have to link it with Sriharikota, which is a launching site for the ISRO satellites. Now, the characteristics one very important characteristic what we have to remember for this Andhra Plain is, it includes deltas of the river Godavari and Krishna, and along with the Kolaru Lake, lying between these two deltas. And this question was last time asked in UPSC as well, about the Kolaru Lake, and it is formed between which two rivers. So it is deltas of rivers Godavari and Krishna, and Koleru Lake. Now, this is a very straight coast and it lacks good harbors for the ship. So, with the exception of Visakhapatnam and Machilipatnam, this is a very straight coast and lack good harbors. So, if you can write Visakhapatnam and Machilipatnam are good harbors. Otherwise, it's a very straight coast. One important thing also we can write is the Buckingham Canal, which runs through particular plain. Then finally we comes to the Tamil Nadu plain. It ascends from Pulicat Lake to Kanyakumari. And it has Godavari Delta. So if you can see here, the Andhra Plains and the Tamil Nadu Plains, the division has been made on the base of Pulicat Lake. Right. So this is about the eastern coastal plains. So here you have the Pulicat Lake. From here we have the division, the Tamil Nadu plain and then the Andhra plain, North Caucasus and the Odisha plains, Utkal plains. So here we finished the coastal plains of India. Now we come to the islands of India. islands of India. So most of these things, if you can go to the mnemonics, most of these things have been covered. But again, those gives the foundation knowledge only. You have to build upon that, like what I have told in the last class as well. So uh, there are chances that questions will be asked directly from them, but there are chances that question may go out of that. Okay, but these things are definitely going to help you for further knowledge. So islands of India we can divide into four broad categories. The first category is the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in Bay of Bengal. Then we have Lakshadweep Islands in Arabian Sea. Then we have certain riverine islands, and then we have some offshore islands. Now to talk about the riverine island, one name we have to remember, it is the Majoli Island. It is in Joharat district of Assam. Now, this particular Majoli Island it's a great natural and cultural heritage site, and with water bodies covering most of the area, this particular Majoli Island it attracts plenty of birds. Okay, both local and the migratory birds. So riverine islands. Now we'll talk about the Andaman and Nicobar island groups. If we write the longitude and latitude for this, it is 6 degree 45 degree to 13 degree 45 degree north and 92 degree 10 minutes to 94 degree 15 minutes east. Right. Now, as we have discussed when we were discussing the Purvanchal of Himalayas, these Andaman and Nicobar Islands are thought to be the part of Himalayan system only, and the extension of Arakan Yuma range in Myanmar. So they comprise of two island groups. One is the Andaman Islands, and second are the Nicobar Islands, which are separated by a 10-degree channel. So first thing what we can write is extension of Himalayan system. Extension of Himalayan system and Arakan Yuma range of Myanmar. Two island groups, particularly Andaman and Nicobar, separated by 10-degree channel. Now how you will remember this? Andaman we already have a image and Nicobar is bar, okay, or nicotine or cigarette, right? So for Nicobar it is nicotine. So if you drink the juice of eggs with cigarette, then you will get hen as child. So 10 is hen for us, right? So there are many mnemonics which you can make out of this. Andaman and Nicobar Islands just separated by 10-degree channel. Now these particular islands, they were the home of the abnormal tribes. So for Andaman, if we can write the gate, Andaman is Ongus, Javaras, Santhes, these were the tribes of Andaman, the Great Andamanese, which are of Negrito origin. This also will cover the origin of tribes and other things. Okay, so these are some of the tribes of the Andaman Islands, while for the Nicobar, it is Nicobaris and Shomfins, which are of Mongoloid origin. They are found in the Nicobar. Mongoloid origin. Now this is, if you can go ahead with this is the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, separated by 10-degree channel. These are the Andaman Islands and these are the Nicobar Islands. So if we can talk about certain important peaks, the Saddle Peak, what we remembered, it is in the North Andaman. North Andaman we have Saddle Peak. Indra Point, here you have Indra Point, the final point of Nicobar Islands, Indra Point, or the last point of India as well. And here we have Barren Islands, somewhere here, Barren Islands, which is the only active volcano in South Asia, and it's a part of Andaman group of islands. So Barren Islands, only active volcano, only active volcano. Now, if we talk about the Andaman Islands, one is the Great Andaman. So Great Andaman, it is made up of these three islands, the Northern Andaman, Middle Andaman and the Lower Andaman. So Port Blair, if you can see here, Port Blair is also in the Lower Andaman, the capital of Andaman and Nicobar Island. Now here you can see the Little Andaman Island, which is separated. This is all is Great Himalayas. Great Andaman. And it is separated from the Little Andaman by something known as Duncan Passage. Right. So this is about Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and if we see on the Lakshadweep Islands, these are the scattered group, right? The biggest island here is the Minicoy Atoll. So atoll has been taken from a Malayali word which means they are of coral origin. So please remember this thing, that Lakshadweep Islands are of coral origin. Minicoy Island is the largest island of Lakshadweep Islands, and it is separated by a 9-degree channel. 9-degree channel. And for the islands, we are going to have a mnemonic part as well in the miscellaneous mnemonic session what we are going to have. So islands will be covered in that. Also some other islands are there. So those things will be covered in the miscellaneous mnemonics part. So here we'll finish our lecture for today. We saw first the northern plains, the division of northern plains, the north-south division, right? Then we saw the different plains, the division of plains from west to east, that's Rajasthan plains, Punjab Haryana plains, Ganga plains and the Brahmaputra plains. Then we saw the western coastal plains and the eastern coastal plains, right? The major differences between them and how we divide them, okay? North of Goa it is Konkan plain, and then south of Goa it is the Malabar plain. Some important things what we have to remember about those plains, then the eastern coastal plains, and then we saw the island groups, the Andaman and Nicobar Island groups and the Lakshadweep Island groups. Now certain things we are going to cover in mnemonics as well from this particular chapter, particularly from the islands. So thanks for tuning in. From next class we are going to start with the Peninsular Plateau and then the monsoon of India. So thanks for tuning in.